I'm going to show you the 3 basic breathing exercises that I use in my teaching. Good breathing is the basis of good singing technique, and the exercises I use all help with that and with strengthening the diaphragm, which is also a very important part of our equipment for singing. So the first one is the hissing exercise. As you might expect, it involves hissing. It's based on a yoga exercise, but with a slight difference. In the yoga exercise, you are supposed to breathe through your nose. It's more efficient, I think, to breathe through your mouth for singing, because you can get the air in more quickly, and because when you open your mouth wide, your throat is also open, which is a good state for your throat to be in when you're going to sing. Always remember to keep your shoulders down. Very important that your shoulders are down. In fact, before we start, you could have a little roll round of the shoulders just to loosen them up a little bit. Any kind of loosening up exercises are a good precursor to any singing. Lifting them up to your ears and then dropping them. If you do that, you know that your shoulders are relaxed and that you haven't started to let them come up and tense. Any tension is generally a negative thing in singing. So we're going to start with the hissing exercise. As I said, you need to be able to locate your ribs and feel that your ribs are doing the right thing. That is, expanding and contracting in all directions. The front, the sides, and the back of your ribs. The only way you can really feel that properly is by placing your hands on your ribs so that your thumbs are on the back. You can see. It's not very comfortable. It hurts your thumbs a bit. It makes your wrists ache. Sorry about that. Okay, so now you can feel your ribs. If you just take a few practice breaths in and out, to make sure your ribs are moving in and out, expanding with each breath in, contracting with each exhalation. If you hold them quite firmly with your hands as well, so that you've got some resistance for your rib cage. Always shoulders down, remember. So we're going to start with a big exhalation. Make sure you've got rid of all the breath. Then take a breath so that your ribs push your hands outwards. Now you've got a lung full of air, 2 lungs full of air. And you're going to hold your breath for a count of 4. And then you're going to hiss out slowly for as long a count as you can. That wasn't a terribly good one. I'm just going to do another one. That was just showing you what to do. So let's try that again. So we start with exhalation. Make sure your hands are firmly gripping your ribs. Long, slow inhalation, perhaps count 4. And hold, count 4, make sure your shoulders are down, and slowly hiss. I'm not sure how many that was, I lost count. Let's try another one. So, holding ribs firmly, shoulders down, exhale. Long slow breath to a count of 4. Hold it, count of 4, shoulders down, slowly hiss. I lost count again. I'm not very good at that. Counting out loud's fine, but when you're hissing you can't do it very easily. Okay, we'll try a third breath. Just give my wrists and thumbs a little bit of a break. I roll round. It's quite hard on these muscles here. It's the only way you can effectively feel your ribs doing the work. And if your ribs are expanding like that, then your diaphragm is dropping properly. Right, hands on ribs again. So, exhaling. Long, slow breath in. Slow count of 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. Slowly hiss. You can get a bit of a head rush when you do that. So if that happens, it's best just to stop the exercise, take a few normal breaths and then maybe start again. If you're really feeling a little bit faint, cup hands over your mouth and nose and take a few breaths. That reduces the intake of oxygen and helps regulate your breathing. Okay, so that's the hissing exercise. That's very good for getting the diaphragm used to releasing breath slowly, so you can sustain longer phrases when you sing. Be very sure to start that one slowly, and because you have lungs full of air, it's quite easy just to let it all out in a bit of a rush. So the next one we're going to do is panting. Panting is a very useful diaphragm building exercise. The diaphragm, which I'm sure you know, is placed around here, sort of dome shaped. It's attached at the front. It's like a sort of upturned soup plate. It's higher on one side to allow room for the liver, which is on the right hand side. Attached to the sternum, bottom of the sternum, all the way around the rib cage and the spine. And the only thing that passes through it is the esophagus, the food tube. Apart from that, your upper abdomen and lower abdomen are divided by the diaphragm. So to make your diaphragm strong is a good thing if you're going to be singing a lot, or if you're going to be singing at all. So it needs to move up and down quickly when you want to articulate your singing, doing fast semiquavers, that sort of thing. And to get it to move quickly like that, panting is very useful. If you just tuck your fingers under your sternum and go tss, you can feel a little muscle bulge out, and that is the edge of the diaphragm, which obviously is connected to lots of other tissue in your body and to the other abdominal muscles. You can't really feel it because it doesn't have nerve endings, I believe, but you can feel what it does. And so if you can feel it moving in the right way, that'll be really helpful. So if you just keep your fingers there while you practice the breathing technique, the hissing, no, we've done the hissing, the panting. You'll see that it's a very small movement. The only thing that really moves is a little bit the chest muscles and the soft muscles here in the abdomen, just under the ribs. So it's a tiny movement, but that's what helps the articulation. Tiny movement, but it's quite an energetic movement of the diaphragm up and down. So try and keep the movement even, in and out. It's important that you do that because the diaphragm needs to move up and down evenly to regulate the fast, articulated singing that you might do. And also to keep it even. To keep it even, to keep it going in a small, concentrated movement. That's going to develop the technique for your diaphragm and make it stronger. You could do a pattern as well, a breathing pattern. You could do... The other thing you have to be sure that you're doing is breathing in and out evenly, so that you're not breathing too much out. You'll just get to the end of the breath otherwise, and you won't be able to do any more. Doesn't work. So you could try different patterns. You could do it in triplets. Now, if you find that it's difficult to do it evenly, try doing it slower to start with. So just whatever speed you can do it, breathing in and out evenly. If that's the speed you can do it to start with, fine. And then just gradually try and develop that strength in the diaphragm so that you can do it faster and faster. And the third one, this is to help you take quick breaths in between phrases at quite a fast tempo. If you sing Bach, you'll know that there is not often a very big opportunity to breathe between phrases. It's very much like the writing for the violins that Bach did, a lot of notes and long phrases. So if you can develop the habit of being able to take in a quick breath between long phrases, that's really helpful too. So if we do the same thing as we did when we were doing the hissing technique, which is putting the hands on the ribs, exhaling, so you really squeeze your ribs when you do that, and then you can do a sort of quick release breath in. That's the basic action. You could try releasing the breath, the exhalation, much slower, because if you're doing a long, slow breath, a long, slow phrase, that's what you will be doing. So let's just try that. A much slower exhalation, and then the very quick intake. So they'll go like this. There's a variation on that one, which is blowing through a more closed mouth, which gives you a little bit of resistance. So that would be just like this. I'll take in the breath first. You could also use that blowing technique, a little bit like blowing out a candle, for the hissing exercise, the first one we did. It gives a bit of variation. It's less resistance than you have with a hiss, but it's quite useful when you're a singer, because of course when you're singing a phrase you don't normally have resistance because you're usually singing an open vowel. Okay, those are the basic breathing exercises.